Esto es Fahrenheit y en esta ocasión nos encontramos con James Blunt, quien estuvo de visita en nuestro país y en nuestra ciudad para realizar una serie de conciertos. Hi James, how are you?
Yeah, very well, gracias.
Well, all the Lost Souls seems like bouncier album than your previous one. Do you feel it like that too?
It's definitely, obviously a second album where I've grown. I've grown with confidence and experience as a songwriter, and so they're deeper and more complex songs in that way. And then the production, I've taken in my band, and we've really given it something. So I'm really proud of it as a second album. And yeah, I think you can hear its roots in the '70s, so it's an album I love. I love making and enjoy listening to.
Tell me about the experience of working again with Tom Rodrock as your producer.
He's a really very special producer who is not about himself. He doesn't want to make an album sound like himself. He really wants to make it sound like the artist he's working with. And he's worked with Beck and Elliott Smith, Badly Drawn Boy, the Foo Fighters and myself, and we all sound very different from each other. And yet, all working through the same person, so it's remarkable. He's a very good listener and become a very good friend.
Which is also a very well-known producer. Can you tell me about that too?
Yeah, I've worked with a couple of different people along the way, and I always had great fun doing it. And one of those guys was Max Martin, who again is a really incredible writer. And we wrote one song together called "Carry You Home," and I think he understands melody so well. He understands how the human mind works so well. So we had fun getting in there and battling out together. And "Carry You Home" as a result, you can hear a rawness to it, a simplicity in the melody that's really catching. And for me, then lyrically, I've written something very personal there.
And it sounds like a very personal album. Is it kind of difficult to share those feelings?
No, I think the whole notion of music in the first place is to be honest and genuine. I'm not posing. I'm not posturing. I'm writing songs for myself, which is to express human emotion, to understand the world around me, to capture it like a diary, really. And then, I'm then foolish enough, having recorded it, to then put it out for other people to listen. But most people seem to connect with that honesty and realize that humans all feel the same way.
And you had a lot of time to write the songs for your first album, and for this, I don't know, you probably have 6 or 7 months. Was that kind of intimidating?
No, I had as long as I wanted, because I make these albums for myself. I write the songs and then I record them when I feel I've got enough songs to make an album that tell a journey, and I only press stop on the recording machine when it sounds the way I need it to resound, because there's only one copy that counts. It's my copy, because when you're old and grey, you'll have forgotten who I am and you will have lost your album, but I still have to live with mine, and so I make it for myself.
That's pretty right. Your song Annie, it's a very passionate song. Is that a true story, or is it inspired by a true story?
Yeah, all of them are true stories along their way.
And tell me about also the documentary Return to Kosovo. How did that project come about?
Obviously, I went to Kosovo as a soldier, and so for me it was a really amazing opportunity to go back and play a concert to some soldiers and some Serbs and some Kosovar Albanians, to gather people in a room whose families had previously been murdering each other, but still for an hour and a half for them to stand side by side and listen to music and realise that we're bound by a common sense of humanity. And I went round and I looked around Kosovo itself to the places I'd been and tried to find the families who I'd met whilst I was there. So amazing, and I'm really lucky that music should allow me to go back. It wasn't necessarily a happy memory, but it was still an amazingly worthwhile journey.
You also had raised funds for Doctors Without Borders. When was your first encounter with them?
I saw Doctors Without Borders when I was in Kosovo, and we were there as soldiers doing what we thought was a tough job, but they were doctors who had volunteered to come there and save people's lives, and for me they're the real celebrities of the world, and for me I really enjoy raising awareness for them now, and if we can, raising funds as well.
And tell me about your latest single, it's Love, 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 and the music video.
Love, Love, Love is a pretty raw song. It's about the self-destruct, really, on a relationship. It harks back to the 60s and a kind of happy era, particularly in the video as well, but it's a pretty raw and desperate song.
And did you give any ideas for the videos? I noticed something in your first album. Your songs were like really sweet, but the videos were not exactly dark, but were like, I don't know, like contrast. I don't know, for instance, in the first video, you jump from cliff, and there's another video when you are like buried underground, only with your neck up. Do you give any of those ideas, or you just choose the best director for that?
No, I try and contribute to the videos as well. I normally work with professionals and directors who have brilliant ideas. I normally try and tie in with them. And, you know, most of the songs actually might come across as sweet and innocent and happy, but most of them are quite dark in their lyrics if I'm focusing on them.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. The sound could be something like sweet and all, but you know the lyrics are sometimes deeper that people would think about them, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, is there any other co-writer that you haven't worked with that you would like to collaborate in the future?
I haven't thought of any, no. You know, I write songs as I go, and then sometimes opportunities arise, but I haven't planned anything.
So you know, is there always a chance to work with? You just go with the flow.
Yeah, you know, if something arrives, then I might seize the opportunity, but I don't necessarily, you know, have ideas at this stage. I think, you know, I'll jump on that when it comes.
And what do you think about the reception of this second album with both the audience, the critic, and of course, how has this tour been going by far?
Well, the All the Lost Souls album then took us out on the All the Lost Souls world tour as a result, and it's taken us properly around the world to places I've never been to in my life before. We've been on the road now for 15 months. It's a long old journey, and we played to thousands of people every night. So for that, I've been very lucky.
You've been here in Mexico a couple of years ago. What are you expecting from the audience tonight? You know they're gonna be like all the time screaming and screaming all your lyrics and also screaming every time you appear on the stage.
I think the Mexican audience are probably the best in the world. I've said it before in other interviews. It's like being in the Beatles. They give so much back, and so for me, it's a real highlight of my tour around the world. But a great way to finish our Latin American tour is here in Guadalajara in Mexico.